D.L. Hughley breaks the news. CNN, Saturday and Sunday night, 10 Eastern.
On November 4th, the same day Barack Obama was elected president, voters in California approved a measure that makes same-sex marriage illegal in the state of California. 70% of blacks and 53% of Latinos voted to ban gay marriage. So, is the gay community holding minorities responsible for this? Here with me now is syndicated sex columnist Dan Savage. How you doing, Dan?
Good, nice to see you. I want to jump right in there because minority communities and the gay community aren't two separate things. There are gay and lesbian African Americans and gay and lesbian Latinos who are really done the most disservice by those votes in the communities of color.
Now, how do you feel? Election night, you campaigned hard for Obama. You worked hard for him. How did you feel after the election?
Oh, we were elated. I was ecstatic. The decision on Prop 8, which not only made it illegal for same-sex couples to marry in California, but rescinded that right. This is the first time an anti-gay marriage amendment has passed in a state where gay marriage was legal.
Right.
So 18,000 marriages of same-sex couples, white and black and Latino, are now open to question. But Barack Obama won. I sobbed like a little bitch because I'm a little bitch. And then the next day we had to sit down and open the papers and read about the approval of this measure, and it was very, very bittersweet. And you know, my boyfriend and I, when George Bush won, we had a long conversation the day afterward. We talked very seriously about moving to Canada because we're just done with being attacked the way we're attacked in this country for our sexual orientation. And then we found ourselves having that exact same conversation the day after Barack Obama won the election because of what happened in California.
Why do you think that so many, the large percentage of African Americans voted for Proposition 8 and Latino?
Well, there's a lot of outreach that has to be done. That falls to the gay community to do outreach to voters of color. But voters of color also have to step up and take some responsibility. It's the responsibility of white people not to be racist. It's a responsibility of men not to be sexist. And it is a responsibility of all of us not to be homophobic.
But I have to say, honestly, I'm not particularly homophobic. But when I read the bill, the way it was written, was a little confusing. When I read it, it asked me to make a decision that I couldn't quantify on the ballot. It said, well, because I can't, for whatever reasons, is it my religious upbringing? I don't condone the gay lifestyle, but I also don't condone the government being involved in two people's affairs. So there was no place for me to vote, and I think a lot of black people that I talked to found themselves in that same quandary. Had I been more religious, maybe I would have voted yes to ban it.
What needs to be articulated around religion and homosexuality is that you can have your theology and also sign off on gay and lesbian civil rights and full enfranchisement, including marriage. You know, a lot of Christians think Jews are going to hell, right? And yet Jews can get married in our culture. No one's attempting to strip Jews of their civil rights in our dominant Christian culture of their civil rights. Because you know what? If you're going to hell for being gay, ain't that enough? Ain't you going to suffer enough when it's all over? Do you really need to be persecuted here on earth
Here's
too?
what I think. I've seen a lot of people, gay activists, make the comparison of the same, basically equating their struggle with the struggle of black people throughout the civil rights era. And that hits me kind of wrong because...
And me too.
Because historically, millions of people died. They were disenfranchised from home, couldn't have a name. This is about one segment, like to be married. And I think that is none of my business, but I also think that what you asked, I've never met a black atheist. I never have, you know, because we are so rooted in theology. We are so rooted in all these things that even me, who, you know, I'm not a regular churchgoer, had a hard time going, this goes against what I was taught, what I believed my whole life.
The gay community to explain why we're not trying to challenge you on your theology. I think African Americans will always have claim to the civil rights movement, capital T, capital C, capital R, capital M. Ours is not the civil rights movement, but ours is a civil rights movement, lowercase CRM. It is a struggle. If you get fired because you're gay, you get fired because you're black, you're still out of a job. Your house gets burnt down because you're gay, burnt down because you're black, you're still out of a house and maybe dead. Hate is hate.
Well,
and
no,
I'm not equating the experience or the history at all, but we are making a civil rights demand.
But I think what happens is that marriage, regardless of the legal aspects of it, are seen mostly religious. You stand before God and you vow to love and cherish this woman or this man. And so I think people have a lot, I know particular people that I talk to had a hard time unhooking the religious component from, you know, the civil
But we've long unhooked the
responsibilities.
religious component from the civil component, because you can go to City Hall and get married,
Right.
and God will not be invoked. Those are the marriage licenses that we want. We don't want to storm into anybody's church and force anybody's preacher or any religious person to observe our wedding.
So you want to be married, but what about the compromise which people put forth, which is civil unions?
Right, which no one was offering us until we pressed for marriage. So
So-
you ask for the moon and maybe you get the stars.
Was that the point? Like you wanted something out
Well,
of it?
no, I think we want full civil equality and we want full civil marriage rights. But in the meantime, maybe we would take half the loaf.
Well, I tell you what, being black, I can tell you, you got to march a little while longer, and then it might happen. I promise. Look how long it took us to get the president. I hope it works out for you. One thing I don't understand is the government involvement in our bedroom. They can't even deliver my mail, so I... Dan Savage, everybody.
Next topic.